Hello, welcome to the Tall Ships Youth Trust second best virtual quiz ever. I'm Alicia and I work for the Trust. Dan is going to be joining us very soon, I promise. If this is your first time joining us for the online quiz, welcome. Hopefully we will have lots of fun this evening. If it's your second time, if you joined us for the quiz in April, thank you for sticking with us and coming back. As you can see, we have changed the format slightly, so just to avoid any technical hiccups. But we are live, so if there's a problem, please bear with us. We've got a backup, so don't go anywhere and we'll still be able to have a really great evening. I know you're all itching to get going, but just while we wait for a few more people to join and sort out video calls and all of that kind of stuff, why don't you let me know who we've got playing in the comments? I'd love to know where you're playing from and who you're playing with or against. Maybe you've got a bit of a family competition going on. And what are you playing for? Maybe it's the last Easter egg or a week off the washing up. Although if you've still got Easter eggs at this point, that's pretty good going, isn't it? Let me know your team names as well. Please keep it family friendly. But if there are any sailing puns, I think that would be good. I will hand over to Dan very soon. But first, I would just like to tell you a little bit about why we're all here this evening. And of course, it's to have fun, but it's also to support a truly fantastic cause. The Tall Ships Youth Trust supports vulnerable young people aged 12 to 25 from all over the UK. Most have incredibly challenging home lives, and some have just had the most awful start to their lives. And we take them on adventures at sea for an average of 5 nights on board 72-foot Challenger racing yachts. And we really do equip them with the skills they need to turn their lives around. We'll actually be hearing from some of the young people who have sailed with us a little bit later on. And the voyage lifts young people out of their everyday lives and gives them the time and space to think about the current path they're following and what they actually want out of life. They live on board as part of a crew of 16, so whilst 72 foot might sound big for a yacht, it's not with 16 people living on board. And they get involved with absolutely everything, from setting the sails and helming or steering, to cooking for everyone, and even cleaning the loos. And of course, there's no 4G or phone signal on the water, so there's very little communication with anyone on shore. For these young people, some of whom have never even seen the sea, this is a uniquely intense experience, which develops long-term life skills and prepares them for the challenges we all face in our lives, at work, and as part of society. Last year, 97% of the young people who sailed with the Trust went into employment, education, or training. And that really is a remarkable turnaround. So please do whatever you can tonight to help us to continue to reach the young people in our society who need it the most. And you can do that by donating now. We've suggested £5 per player. But of course, if you would like to do a little bit more than that, you can. It's completely up to you. So to donate anything up to £20, please text Dan's quiz to 70450, followed by the amount. Sorry, so it's Dan's quiz followed by your donation amount to 70450. So anything up to £20, please text Dan's quiz, DANSQUIZ, followed by the amount you would like to donate to 70450. Or if you would like to do a little bit more than that, or any amount and you would just rather do it online, please head to www.tallships.org/Calmer Waters, or follow the link in the video description. Right, without further ado, we will start the quiz. Hopefully you will have your drinks and snacks ready. Please remember not to write your answers in the comments because that's not much fun for anyone. And no Googling. Dan will know if you're cheating. Now I'm going to hand you over to our quizmaster for the evening, Dan Snow.
Hi everybody, welcome to the second best virtual quiz ever. I want to say a huge thank you for joining us for this very special quiz. We're going to have lots of fun. We're going to raise lots of money for this wonderful charity. So in the late 1990s, I went on board the Malcolm Miller. It was with the Tall Ships Youth Trust. It changed my life. I wouldn't be here today without the things that I learned, the teamwork, the leadership, the challenges, the friends I made on that journey. And this charity, like so many other ones, is facing an existential threat from this shutdown. So fundraising events have been cancelled and income through voyage sales has plummeted. So we need your help. I'm determined to make sure this charity is still here to change lives once the dust settles. Our work's never been more needed. Last week, the Resolution Foundation released a statement saying youth unemployment could rise to 640,000 this year due to the virus. I mean, that is shocking, and it means that levels of youth anxiety, mental health issues will also rise too. And we want to play a crucial role in helping them recover from the social and psychological effects of COVID-19. So please continue. Please let us continue to reach out to young people. We need your help to do that. They desperately need it. To donate £20, please text Dan's Quiz, DANSQUIZ, followed by the amount that you want to donate. Anything up to £20, 1 to 20, be very grateful. Please donate that to 70450. Our suggested donation per player is a £5. And I think that's pretty good value. So if you'd like to donate a little bit more, though, please go to tallships.org/karmawaters, and then you can drop the big bucks. We're very, very grateful for those. So tallships.org/karmawaters, or you can always click the link in the description alongside this video. I know you're sitting on the edge of your seats, waiting for this quiz. So without further ado, here is the first round. General knowledge. Round 1, general knowledge. In nautical terms, what is the opposite of port? In Dirty Dancing, what is Baby's first name? In Dirty Baby's first name. In Dirty Dancing, what is Baby's first name? What's the Dirty Dancing, what is Baby's first name? What's the Italian word What's the Italian word for pie? What is the Italian word for pie? Whose face was Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus referring to in the famous line, "Was this the face that launched 1,000 ships and burned the topless towers of Ilium?" So whose face was Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus referring to in the famous line, "Was this the face that launched 1,000 ships and burnt the topless towers of Ilium?" Fragaria is the botanical name for which fruit? Fragaria is the botanical name for which fruit? Last week, a Banksy painting was donated to Southampton General Hospital. What was the subject? Was donated to Southampton General Hospital. What was the subject holding? Last week, a Banksy painting was donated to Southampton General Hospital, just down the way there. What was the subject holding? Joining in 2011, what is the newest country to be recognised by the United Nations? Joining in 2011, what's the newest country to be recognised by the United Nations? Question 8. Which two pop stars performed during the interval of this year's Super Bowl at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami? Which two pop stars performed during the interval of this year's Super Bowl at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami? What animal's name literally translates to... I'll do that again. What animal's name literally translates to river horse in Greek? What animal's name literally translates to river horse in Greek? Question 10. In Einstein's famous theory, E equals mc squared, what does the C represent? In Einstein's famous theory, E equals mc squared, what does the C represent? So, I hope you did well in that round. I've got a
So, how do you think you did there? Some a little bit easy, some a bit harder, maybe? Now, I mentioned earlier that we would be hearing from some of the young people who have sailed with us. And just before I hand you back to Dan for round 2, here's Josh with his tall ship story.
At age 13, my father passed, and at 16, my mother became heavily incapacitated after suffering an accident. I failed the majority of my exams, and I was moving into a world fueled on drugs and violence. My voyage really allowed me to leave all that behind and build a new successful life. Now, it's a very bold statement, but tall ships, they really did save my life. So, it wasn't actually until 2012 that I actually stepped foot on board one of these Challengers. And it was this very boat here, Challenger 1. Now, I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out why anybody would want to be on board one of these boats. You see, the way the wind reacts against the sails causes the boat to tip. And it's frightening, to be quite honest. Well, it is if you don't necessarily have some experience on the boats. Turns out I was just overreacting. You see, the way I responded to the wind, you would have thought that we were in a force 12 storm. However, we were simply motor sailing across the Cowes under the power of the engine. There was probably more wind in a hairdryer, if I'm quite honest. By the time I stepped off this boat, I was a complete different person. You see, from the start, I may have been tying myself to the boat in fear that I was going to fall off. But at the end of it, I was jumping around this like twinkle toes. All right. They had me racing, changing the sails at the front now. I was commanding my team, putting them in positions that would best suit not only their ability, but their comfort zone and what they wanted to get from that week. I was reading characters. I was leading. Prior to tall ships, I couldn't lead a horse to water, let alone make it drink. But there I was, leading. It was phenomenal. And since Tall Ships Youth Trust, my first voyage with them, the things that I've done, I 100% know I wouldn't have done if I hadn't have gone on board the first time. All right, I went back to college. I put myself forward for student rep and student governor. I got them as well. I put myself forward for university, and I wasn't rejected. I've got there. Years later, I've now finished university. And even sitting here right now telling you about my stories, I hand on heart know that I wouldn't have done any of this if I didn't take that first step that was shown to me by the Trust.
So please remember, if you haven't done so already, you can donate just by following the information on screen and in the description of the event. Now it's back to Dan with the second round, geography.
Round two, everybody, it's geography. Round two is geography. How many states does the US highway Route 66 pass through? Route 66 pass through. How many states does the US highway Route 66 pass through? Which of these British islands is the largest? A, Skye, B, Arran, or C, the Isle of Wight? Which of these British islands is the largest? A, Skye, B, Arran, or C, the Isle of Wight? Question 3. The Inca Trail leads to which ancient lost city? Inca Trail leads to which ancient lost city? Travelling over 2,000 miles, which country does the famous train, the Ghan, cross? Travelling over 2,000 miles, which country does the famous Travelling over 2,000 miles, which country does the famous train, the Ghan, cross? Question 5. The Parliament of Budapest sits on the bank of which river? Question 5. The Parliament of Budapest sits on the bank of which river? Chapter 6. Question 6. Outside of Antarctica, which country has the greatest resources of glacial ice? A, Greenland, B, Russia, or C, Canada? Outside Antarctica, which country has the greatest resource of glacial ice? A, Greenland, B, Russia, C, Canada. Question 7. In which national park will you find In which national park will you find the highest peak in England? In which national park will you find the highest peak in England? Question 8. On an Ordnance Survey map, PO symbolises post office and PH is a pub, we all know that. But what do the letters CG stand for on rural maps? So on an Ordnance Survey map, what does CG stand for? Question 9. Littered with shipwrecks, the Skeleton Coast coastal desert is in which African country? Littered with shipwrecks, the Skeleton Coast coastal desert is in which African country? And the last question on the geography round is, in which ocean would you find the world's deepest ocean trench? In which ocean would you find the world's deepest ocean trench? And now we've got another drawing bonus round question again. We'd like you to work out the historical event pictured and the year it took place.
Now, the coronavirus has had an immeasurable impact on everyone's life. This is a tough time for all charities and businesses. Our cash flow has plummeted, and whilst we are seeking some relief from government and potential creditors and lenders, it's unlikely to be enough to see us through the current crisis. Our aim right now is to be here to keep supporting young people when the dust settles. I've told you that our voyages change lives, but don't just take my word for it. Here is a message from Katie, who first sailed with us when she was 15.
When I was about 9, my family was violent, wasn't a very good household. 14, I was living homeless on the streets, living on the beach. 15, had my first conviction. My mum was involved with drugs, but now I've got involved with Tall Ships Youth Trust. Honestly, it changed my life completely and don't get involved with the police anymore.
Working with local and national support groups throughout the UK, we can reduce drug abuse, inner city violence and knife crime.
Young offenders, or those on the edge of crime, can see a real change in their attitudes and their prospects after just one voyage. Tall Ships can be part of the solution to the major problem we have with young people who are disengaged.
The difference in our young people after a week at sea is staggering. So you take them completely out of their environment and into a different environment, which helps their character development massively.
Right, are you ready for the next round? Now this is sport, but with the Olympics cancelled this year, we know there are a lot of people out there with a big Olympic-sized hole in their lives this summer. So we thought we would try to fill some of that by theming these questions all around the Olympic Games. Here's Dan.
Round 3. Which athlete has won the most Olympic medals ever? We're on sport and the Olympic Games, you may have realised. Which athletes won the most Olympic medals ever? A. Carl Lewis, B. Chris Hoy, C. Michael Phelps, and D. Usain Bolt. Which athlete won the most Olympic medals ever? A. Carl Lewis, B. Chris Hoy, C. Michael Phelps, and D. Usain Bolt. 2. Which city has hosted the most Summer Olympic Games? Which city has hosted the most Summer Olympic Games? Three. Which of these sports has never appeared in the Olympics? Tandem bicycle sprint, polo, solo synchronized swimming, or surfing? Which of these sports has never appeared in the Olympics? Tandem bicycle sprint, polo, solo synchronized swimming, or surfing? 4. What 5 colours are the Olympic rings? What 5 colours are the Olympic rings? 5. What is the only indoor Winter Olympic sport that does not require ice skates? What is the only indoor Winter Olympic sport that does not require ice skates? 6. Which of these countries has never won an Olympic medal? Fiji, Albania, Montenegro, or Samoa? Which of these countries has never won an Olympic medal? Fiji, Albania, Montenegro, or Samoa? Question 7. The ancient Olympics were as much a religious festival as a sporting event. Which Greek god were they held in honour of? The ancient Olympics were as much a religious festival as a sporting event. So which Greek god were they held in honour of? Question 8. In the Paralympics wheelchair relay races, what is not used? Batons, A. B, a starting pistol. C, a referee. Or D, a finish line. So question 8. In the Paralympics wheelchair relay races, what is not used? A, batons. B, a starting pistol. C, a referee. Or D, a finish line. Question 9. During the Summer Olympics in 1928, why did Australian rower Bobby Pearce slow down mid-race? Was it A, to wave to the crowd, B, to let a family of ducks swim past, C, his all got tangled in seaweed, or D, he dropped his lucky mascot? So that's question 9. During the Summer Olympics of 1928, why did Australian rower Bobby Pearce slow down mid-race? To wave to the crowd, A. B, to let a family of ducks swim past, Or C, his oar got tangled in seaweed? Or D, he dropped his lucky mascot? Question 10. Many people thought the opening ceremony of the Olympics in 1960, the Winter Olympics in Squaw Valley, California, was over the top. It was a star-studded affair filled with thousands of balloons, fireworks, ice sculptures, and 2,000 white doves. Who was in charge of organising it? So it was a star-studded affair in 1960 Winter Olympics in Squaw Valley. Who was in charge of organising it? Time for the bonus drawing question now. I'm sure you got the hang of this. We are looking for the name of the event and the year that it took place. Have a look at this bonus question.
Okay, how do you all think you're doing so far? Let us know in the comments. I think some of those drawings are pretty good. I'm going to hand you straight back to Dan for round 4 music, which is all about the 80s.
Okay, everyone, here it's time for round 4 music in honour of Duran Duran frontman and Tall Ships ambassador Simon Le Bon, and this is all about 1980s. 1. Which lead singer of the band Culture Club was born George Allen O'Dowd? Which lead singer of the band Culture Club was born George Allen O'Dowd? The song Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins was used in which 1986 film? The song Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, I should say, was used in which 1986 film? On Saturday the 13th of July 1985, who was the opening band at the Wembley Live Aid concert? On Saturday the 13th of July 1985, who was the opening band at the Wembley Live Aid concert? Brothers Martin and Gary Kemp were part of which 1980s band? Brothers Martin and Gary Kemp were part of which 1980s band? What is the name of the music movement influenced by artists such as Duran Duran and Simple Minds that took place in the 1980s? What is the name of the music movement influenced by artists such as Duran Duran and Simple Minds that took place in the 1980s? Who is the lead singer of the Pet Shop Boys? Question 6. Who is the lead singer of the Pet Shop Boys? Question 7. Which artist had a hit in 1983 with the song Total Eclipse of the Heart? Question 7. Which artist had a hit in 1983 with the song Total Eclipse of the Heart? Question 8. Which band had huge hits with the songs Club Tropicana and Wake Me Up Before You Go Go? Question 8. Which band had huge hits with the songs Club Tropicana and Wake Me Up Before You Go Go? Question 9. Who went straight to number 1 in 1981 with the song Stand and Deliver? Who went straight to number 1 in 1981 with the song Stand and Deliver? Before becoming a rock heartthrob, which member of the Police was an English teacher and football coach? Last question, question 10. Before becoming a rock heartthrob, which member of the Police was an English teacher and football coach? The bonus question will appear on the screen now. Again, please give us the name of the historic event and the year it took place.
How's it all going? I hope you're doing well. A few debates there, maybe. It's very nearly time for the 5th and final round, and the one you're all waiting for, I'm sure. But just before I hand back to Dan with the history round, here is our final message from one of our young volunteers, Santo.
When I was 5, I was taken away from my parents and put into care. Alongside that, I was put into a new school and they bullied me for being different, and it was found a year later I was dyslexic, so it made school really hard. And then I found tall ships and it changed my life, taught me skills that I needed in life, which I didn't have before.
The voyages are incredible. They're transformational, really. What can be achieved on tall ships in 5 days would take me about 6 months probably on land to be able to achieve with these young people. It has such a high impact.
So the time has come. Here is Dan with the history round. Good luck.
Now we've got the final round here. It is, of course, the history round, my favourite. How can we not have a history round? And question 1. In 1939, the New York Times predicted that what invention would never catch on because the American family hasn't time for it. In 1939, the New York Times predicted that what invention would never catch on because, and I'm quoting, the average American family hasn't time for it. Question 2. Ronald Wayne was the 3rd founder of Apple in 1976. 2 weeks later, he sold his 10% stake. How much for? A, $800, B, $8,000, C, $8 million. Ronald Wayne was the 3rd founder of Apple in 1976. 2 weeks later, he sold his 10% stake. How much for? $800, $8,000, or $8 million. Who was the last king of England to be killed on the battlefield? Who was the last king of England to be killed on the battlefield? Why do the Penderell family still receive £100 a year from the Crown? Why do the Penderell family still receive £100 a year from the Crown? Which RAF aircraft type shot down most German aircraft during the Battle of Britain? Which RAF aircraft type shot down most German aircraft during the Battle of Britain? What did the British government give to Queen Victoria on January the 1st, 1886 as a gift? What did the British government give to Queen Victoria on January the 1st, 1886 as a gift? In what nation's armed forces did Hitler's nephew fight during the Second World War? In what nation's armed forces did Hitler's nephew fight during the Second World War? We just heard there from Alex Thompson. Well, who was the first English sailor to circumnavigate the globe? Who was the first English sailor to circumnavigate the globe? Question 8. William III kicked King James II off the throne. How were they related? A, William was his nephew. B, William was his son-in-law. C, William was both. Question 9. Who was the first British Prime Minister to live in 10 Downing Street? Who was the first British Prime Minister to live in 10 Downing Street? All right, everyone. Answers coming up in just a second.
Well, that's the end of tonight's quiz. I'll give you a couple more minutes just to finish debating and finalise your answers before going back to Dan with the answers. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported the Trust tonight. It really does make a huge difference. Of course, if you haven't donated yet, there is still plenty of time. So to donate up to £20, any amount up to £20, please text Dan's quiz followed by your donation amount to 70450. So Dan's quiz followed by the amount you'd like to donate to 70450. Or head to www.tallships.org/Calmer Waters, where you can donate anything at all online. Right, are you ready for the answers? I'll give you 10 more seconds to put your pens and pencils down before it is simply too late. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here's Dan.
Okay, everyone, here are the answers. Are you ready? In nautical terms, here we go. Round 1, general knowledge. In nautical terms, what is the opposite of port? The opposite of port is, of course, starboard. Easy one there, guys. Easy one to get your eye in. 2, in Dirty Dancing, what is baby's first name? Francis. I knew that. Question 3, what's the Italian word for pie? Come on. Pizza. Question 4. So whose face was Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus referring to in the famous line, was this the face that launched 1,000 ships and burned the topless towers of Ilium? It was, of course, Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships. Fragaria is the botanical name for which fruit? Strawberry. Number 6, the Banksy painting in Southampton Hospital was a painting of a little boy playing with a superhero nurse. It's lovely. Number 7, joining in 2011, the newest country recognised by the UN is South Sudan. Number 8, which pop stars performed in the Super Bowl this year? Jennifer Lopez and Shakira. 9, which animal's name translates as river horse in Greek? Hippopotamus. In Einstein's theory, E equals mc squared, c represents the speed of light, obviously. Bonus for 2 points, it was VE Day 1945. That's what the picture was. Round 2, geography. How many states did the US highway Route 66 pass through? It goes, okay, so here we go. It passed through 8 states. Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. So 8 states. 2, which of the British islands is the largest? The answer was A, it was Skye. It was just over 1,600 square kilometres. Arran's only 430, and the Isle of Wight's 380. That's crazy. A lot of people on the Isle of Wight, given its size. 3, the Inca Trail leads to which ancient lost city? The answer is Machu Picchu. Travelling over 2,000 miles, which country does the famous train line the Ghan cross? The outback heart of Australia. It was inaugurated in 1921. The Parliament of Budapest sits on the bank of which river? The answer there is the Danube. What's next? Here we go. The outside of Antarctica, which country has the greatest resource of glacial ice? It is, of course, Greenland, and it covers, well, something like 1.7 million square kilometres. In which national park do you find the highest peak in England? It is the Lake District National Park. Clearly, it has is 978 metres is the Scafell Pike. 8, on Ordnance Survey map, PO is Post Office, PH is pub. What is GC stand for? Less exciting, cattle grid. That's probably why most of you don't know it. Now you all know the PH one. 9, littered with shipwrecks, the Skeleton Coast is in Namibia. 10, where do you find the world's deepest ocean trench? Just under 11,000 metres, the Mariana Trench in the Pacific, deepest known point in the world's oceans. Bonus 2 points. That tricky one, the Battle of Trafalgar, 1805. You got that. Round 3, the Olympics. Which athletes won the most Olympic gold medals, or the most Olympic medals ever? It was B, Michael Phelps. The man won 28 medals. I mean, that's crazy. Chris Hoy is the top British athlete, along with Jason Kenny. They both have 7. Oh, that's not too bad. Which cities hosted the most Summer Olympic Games? Surprisingly, London. 1908, 1948 and 2020. 12. Rome should have had the 08 Games, but Mount Vesuvius erupted a couple of years earlier, so funds were redirected to reconstruct Naples, so London was selected instead. Which of these sports has never been in the Olympics? It was D, surfing. It would have made its debut in Tokyo. 4, what colours are the Olympic rings? They are, of course, blue, black, red, yellow, green. Blue, black, red, yellow, green. What is the only indoor Winter Olympic sport that does not require ice skates? Curling. Curling. Which of these countries have never won an Olympic medal? It was B, Albania. The others all have one. Tough question, that one. The ancient Olympics were as much a religious festival as a sporting event. Which Greek god were they held in honour of? Zeus, king of the gods. In Paralympic wheelchair relay races, what are not used? Batons are not used. A, batons, they're hands needed for the wheels, of course. During the Summer Olympics in 1928, why did Australian rower Bobby Pearce slow down mid-race? B, to let a family of ducks swim past. I wish I could tell you whether he still won the race or not. I'm not sure, but that's very nice of Bobby Pearce to do that. 10. Many people thought the opening ceremony for the 1960 Olympic Games in Squaw Valley was over the top. Who was in charge of organising it? A guy called Walt Disney. Bonus 2 points. The ancient Olympics, 776 BCs. Have you got that? Well done.
So how are you doing so far? Better than you expected? Or maybe not. Let us know in the comments. Has anyone got full marks so far? Be interesting. And what about the drawings? I think the drawings are pretty easy, actually. But this is all from me for this evening. Dan's going to finish the last few answers in just a moment, and we will upload a PDF with the questions and answers just in case you have missed any. Oh, Bobby Pearce did win as well. He came first. It's pretty amazing. Thank you all so much for coming and supporting this fantastic charity. Please do stay in touch and keep an eye out for other events we have coming up later this year, virtual or otherwise. If you've had fun tonight and you would like to stay in touch, please do sign up to our mailing list on the website, and you know we'll stay in touch with everything we're doing. Together, we really do make a difference. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Thank you for supporting. Here is Dan with the last few answers for you.
Which lead singer of the band Culture Club was born George Allen O'Dowd? Boy George. The singer Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins was used in which 1986 film? Top Gun. On Saturday the 13th of July 1985, who was the first band to play the Wembley Live Aid concert? Status Quo. 4. Brothers Martin and Gary Kemp were part of which 1980s band? Spandau Ballet, of course. What is the name of the musical movement influenced by people like Duran Duran and Simple Minds in the 80s? The New Romantics. Who is the lead singer of the Pet Shop Boys? Neil Tennant. Which artist had a hit in 1983 with the song Total Eclipse of the Heart? Bonnie Tyler. Which band had huge hits with the songs Club Tropicana and Wake Me Up Before You Go Go? Wham. Who went straight to number 1 in 1981 with Stand and Deliver? Adam and the Ants. Before becoming a rock heartthrob, which member of the Police was an English teacher and football coach? It was obviously Sting or Gordon Matthew Thomas Sumner. History question. Here we go, everybody. In 1939, the New York Times predicted what invention would never catch on because the average American family hasn't time for it? The TV. I will accept telly or TV or television on that one. Ronald Wayne was the third founder of Apple in 1976. 2 weeks later, he sold his 10% stake. How much? Was it for $808,000 or $8 million? It was for $800. He made $800 out of Apple. If he'd held on to that today, it would be worth $1 billion, I think, at its current valuation. Who was the last king of England to be killed on the battlefield? Richard III. Why do the Penderell family still receive £10 a year from the Crown? This is quite difficult. Their ancestors helped Charles II escape from the Battle of Worcester in 1651, and they got an annual gift in perpetuity. Which RAF aircraft type shot down most German aircraft during the Battle of Britain? Was it the Spitfire? No, it was the Hurricane. What did the British government give to Queen Victoria as a gift on January the 1st, 1886? Burma. What nation did Hitler's nephew fight for during the Second World War? Hitler's nephew was in the American Navy. Who was the first British sailor to circumnavigate the globe? It was Francis Drake. William III kicked James II off the throne. How were they related? Nephew, son-in-law, or both? The answer is both. Trouble in the family. Who was the first Prime Minister to live in 10 Downing Street? He wasn't technically called a Prime Minister, but he's regarded as the first Prime Minister of Britain, Sir Robert Walpole. So listen, thank you so much, everyone, for taking part. I've had great fun. I hope you have too. Please remember to donate if you haven't done so already. To donate £20, for example, you just text Dan's Quiz, DANSQUIZ, followed by 20. So whatever donation you want to give, followed by the number to 70450. 70450. And if you want to donate a little bit more, please go to tallships.org/Karma Waters or click the link in the description. If you give money, you are making the world better for young people right across this country. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you and good night.